Welcome back to Season 2 of Voices on the Hill. I am your host, Corey King, and I'm here with a special guest from across the pond, all the way from England, the new RSU men's soccer coach, assistant coach, Jake Simpson. Jake, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, Corey.
All your, taking time out of your busy schedule to come hang out, chit chat, and for us to get a chance to obviously welcome you back to the Hill, because not only are you now our new assistant coach, but you played here and you spent time here and you invested blood, sweat, and tears into the men's soccer program, and now you're gonna not quite the blood and the sweat as much, but the mentally
definitely sweat.
A lot of sweat.
Definitely sweat.
Yeah, it's hot out there.
Sunblood.
It's hot out there.
Yeah,
It is a little toasty out there.
Too hot.
I'm gonna spend some time out you, so we're gonna sweat together.
Yes.
We're gonna sweat together. It'll be a good sweat. But once again, thank you. Let's jump right into it. Talk about what it's like to be back on the Hill, and what this program means to you, and why you chose to come back here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually went to a wedding in Oklahoma City for one of my players that I coached at Oklahoma Christian the other day. And he asked me, how's RSU, how's everything doing? And I was like, it's just homey. It's just homey. Like, it's a feeling of when you get back on the Hill, I just feel like I'm at home. I've been here for so long. Like, I feel very comfortable. The people here feel like family. The place feels like home. I've always called it my home away from home, because obviously you come from England. It's a transition period, and that transition period that I loved here. Leaving was hard. Coming back, there's no other word to describe it other than home. I just feel like I've come home. The passion I have for the school, the passion I have for the people, the program, how much I want the program to be successful. Like, it's like speaking to Derek about it. Coaching at Oklahoma Christian was awesome, and there's that real want to be successful and do well for the kids and for the program. But now I feel like I get to coach the team that I support, which I don't think many coaches get to do because of the relationship you have. It hits different.
It feels different.
Yeah, massively.
It feels way different, and I can resonate with that heavily. The fans of the show know that I took some time after I finished playing football. Immediately after transitioned to becoming a grad assistant for women's basketball for the same school, for Winona State, and having that pride of like, this is home for me, and now I'm supporting another team, coaching. It's like you just get another. It's like another oomph. Yeah. It takes you to another level. Yeah. Because home isn't easy to develop. Right. It's hard. You talked about leaving home from Great Britain, from England. And it's hard to leave that home and then establish a new home. Talk about what that process was like all those years ago, establishing this as your new home.
Well, when you get on a plane from England and you arrive in Claremore, Oklahoma, it's like, what happened? What happened? Where am I? What is going on? The campus is obviously beautiful, but it's hard to describe the difference in culture. Like, you've obviously got that first period of homesickness where you're like, did I make the right decision? This is all so different. And then you've got the period where it's like, I actually really like it here.
Yeah.
I think I was lucky. I spent a year in Atlanta, Georgia as a freshman.
Oh, really?
So I was planning on leaving and going home. I spent a year in Georgia, had a rough experience in terms of that, finding a home. It wasn't a home. I didn't enjoy it. And I was ready to go back home. And then I got a call from an English coach from Rogers State who's now coaching professionally. His name's Scott Parkinson. He was working with the women's program, and he told me about RSU, and just the idea of having some English people around me was like, I'll give it one more try. Like, I'll stay out. If I don't like it after the fall, I'm going to go home. And then RSU grabbed me, like it does to a lot of people. And just explaining that feeling. The people are so nice. to the point where at first I was like, these people are too nice. Can I trust these people? Like, I would put headphones in, walk into class, because people would constantly want to talk to me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I can't keep stopping. Like, I'm going to be late. Like, all these people are so nice. And then the facilities we have, the coaching we have, Derek as like a father figure, all of his assistants, Mitch Salby, who I work with at Oklahoma Christian, who's now coaching professionally as well. They have a way of making RSU feel like the biggest, best school in the country, to the point where I didn't want to go anywhere else. Yeah, it was a transition that didn't take as long as I thought it would, and then the longer you're here, you just grow. And
it's hard to transition away from somewhere, especially when you spend a long period of time and you invested so heavily. Talk about that period of time where you did leave as a coach, and where you went, and what that experience was like. What did you learn there, and how did that help you grow into the assistant coach that you are today?
Yeah, so at the point of leaving, the head coach over at Oklahoma Christian, his name's Mitch Salby. He's an English guy like me. We have a really close friendship. He's a phenomenal coach. Obviously now he's got a professional opportunity because of how good he is as a coach. But at the time, me and my wife, we had our first child. My wife's from Norman. Her family's in Oklahoma City. So it was one of them things where it was like, might be time to move her closer to home. Been at RSU for a while now. Do I need to have a different experience to make myself stronger as a coach, to be able to give more as I further my career and stuff like that? Oklahoma Christian, I've started to learn. Obviously I'm 27 now with a 2-year-old kid. I think I'm in control, but I'm not in control. I found a level of, without Oklahoma Christian, I wouldn't have found my faith that I found. And that faith now drives me to be a far better coach than I was before. It gives it far more meaning than it had before. But it's all been part of God's plan the whole time. Like, for me to go there, for me to find that faith, to have that experience, to be under someone that wasn't Derek for a little while, because me and Derek get on so well, and he's taught me everything. But to branch out and work with someone who wasn't Derek for a second, see how a different program does it, it's grown me as a human as much as it has a coach. But there was always that nagging feeling in the back of my head that RSU was where I needed to be. Like, it was the place where, like you said, I call home, where I want to end up.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's God's plan. Mitch ends up getting a pro opportunity. RSU ends up opening a full-time opportunity. My wife's family are in Florida, so she realises that, you know what, I miss Claremore as well. We're not seeing as much of them as I would have liked to, and then we get to come back here. But without Oklahoma Christian, I wouldn't have probably the most important thing in my life, and I wouldn't have grown as a coach in maturity in certain ways, the way I look at different things. And it was without a doubt a must. But like I said, it was never, experiences were different, but passion for the program could never quite get me to where...
It's a different level.
I could not be more invested in RSU because of how much I love it, because I'm a fan.
That's correct.
Oklahoma Christian was a great opportunity to learn and grow, but your heart is in it and your head is in it.
Soul.
But your soul is in this one. Yeah, exactly. That's a great word. Like, my soul is in RSU.
Yeah. And it's perfectly okay to have your head and your heart, as long as those things are involved in it, you're fully invested. Yeah. But there's something when you got all three boogieing, shaking, and going into one direction.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. You just, like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Y'all can't see it, but I'm getting goosebumps just thinking, because you're so passionate, and you're like I was in these shoes. I know what this feels like. I know what this grind is like.
I know what this program does.
Yeah.
For people. I came here a boy, graduated somewhat of a man, coaching now, like watching my daughter run around on the field that I played on. I met my wife. The first time I ever saw my wife, she was sat on the RSU soccer field eating goldfish. And I walked down to kick a ball around with one of our teammates, saw her, spoke to her for the first time. It's just, you can't replicate that. Like, I didn't meet my wife anywhere else. Like, it's hard to explain.
It's special. It's special. Intimate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's intimate, and you can't replace that. But I do want to touch on something that you talked about that it's people don't get. Like, a lot of people don't get is like when you're underneath somebody for so long, and the importance of being able to experience somebody else's ship and how they run it, because there's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Talk about like the differences between those two coaches, on how they run their ship, and how you found a way to, because assistant coaches, you gotta mesh, you gotta blend in. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the first mate, so like the ship isn't yours, but when they're gone, it is, and you gotta run it just as if they would with your own little, drizzle of flavor on it. You know what I'm saying? So talk about how working with Coach Larkin for so long, playing for him, and then adjusting to a new coach and now coming back. Talk about how that fluctuates.
Coach Larkin is the number one father figure. He has a way of making you fall in love with everything. His passion makes you fall in love with what his passion is. You want to play for him, you want to do well for him. The way he gets you to drive, he can almost like unlock parts of you, that competitiveness, drive that you didn't think you had. And he always says to me, his advice to me often is, you need to watch what I do, because every coach is different. Every coach has their preferences, their philosophies, their cultures. You have to watch what I do, so that when you're not with me, you take the good things of what you like about me and you add, like you said, your own flavor to it.
Correct.
So in every environment I've been in, thanks to that advice, I watch it and I go, obviously I've got an English background as well from coaches I had growing up in England. So I've got that. I've got a lot of Coach Larkin in me, just because I've been around him longer than anybody else, and I respect him crazy amounts. So then when you go to Oklahoma Christian, you've got Mitch, who's an elite coach in terms of, I don't know many people that know the game better than him. There's not many people I speak to. Like, every time he says something about like a tactical aspect, I'm like, whoa. Okay. Like he made me look at the game differently. And now he's coaching pro because of
how well he sees the game.
And one thing that Mitch is absolutely unbelievable at, he makes every single player in that locker room feel like they're the most important person in that locker room. And I think that's every coach's battle, because I've been a player that, growing up in England at 17, 18, when you start playing at the highest possible level and you're on the bench, you start to feel like, coach doesn't even like me, coach doesn't even care about me. There's players in that OC program that didn't see a minute that would think that they're as loved as the person that played every single minute.
Yeah.
And Coach Larkin's amazing as that as well, but the way Mitch, like, the way they speak about him and his tactical ability, and then you've also got Mitch that worked with Larkin for a very long time and sees Larkin the same as I do, as a mentor and a role model. So it's very interesting for me to sit back and go, oh, that's Larkin. Yeah. Like, even at OC, I watched him and he would say certain things and do something, and I'm like, oh, Larkin's coming out here. So in both situations, and when I first started becoming a coach, I was thinking back to my experiences in England as well. I'm trying in every situation to take what I like and take what is extremely meaningful, like absorb as much of that as I can, and then also look at some things in every situation and go, I don't know if I'd have handled that way. I don't know if I'd handle that a different way. Like, but there's just, both coaches are so elite. Yeah. It's just very, very fortunate, very blessed to be able to have worked for both of them and take the best parts of both of them, and just extremely beneficial for a career. Like, 100%. To see that second part and be able to mesh
those two pieces.
Two pieces, and then add my own piece into it.
Yeah.
It's just priceless.
It's priceless.
Mm.
And it's so cool to like hear somebody else feel and see the same things that I feel and see from my past, and being able to understand, like, Coach Larkin reminds me so much of my first head coach from football.
Yeah.
Tom Sawyer, shout out Tom. He's going into the Hall of Fame in October, in which I'm gonna see it out in my bag. I'm gonna see out the. But he's a father figure. Like, he was one of the last people that I saw when I left Winona. He was one of the first person that I saw when I got there, and to this day, like his voice, I can literally imitate. I got guys out here on the field doing it. I need guys to do it the right way.
Right.
If you're not out here, it is. I literally hear him in my head, and it's kind of scary. Like, what I'm saying? Take care of those who take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's having those individuals impact you.
That's why I want to be a coach. That
Correct.
impact you're talking about, the impact that Larkin, Mitch, these coaches have had on my life, I want to have that impact on kids' lives. And again, that's where the faith comes into it as well. Like, people that come through the door leave a completely different person.
Yeah.
And the impact you can have on a person's life for the rest of their life after 4 years, I've seen it. Larkin says, taking care of business. Take care of your business 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But there's still times where I'll be like,
Take care of
hey,
business.
you gotta take care of your business.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's Larkin. He's in my head in the middle. I'm about to mow the grass at home and I don't want to do it. And it's like, take care of business. And I'm like, this guy's at home with me as well. Like, oh man,
get off my show! Come on, dude.
It's like the positivity and
the energy.
That's why I want to be a coach.
Yeah.
I want to impact lives like mine's been impacted. Good coaches can change a life, I think.
Drastically.
That's what I want to be.
And that's what coaching, like, the wins and losses are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The championships are amazing. Like, but the lasting impact that you have on these young men, young women's lives, whether they're your kids in your program, they're out of the program, not in your program, our energy as administrators, coaches, is so important to these young minds. And it's crazy that we're saying young minds, like we're 50.
I feel like a granddad.
Yeah, right.
A kid will do that to you.
Yeah, you feel like I'm beyond my years, but I'm really not. I'm only 2 years away from when I was playing, but like, I understand the impact that we have to give and investment that we have to give. I always tell it's open door policy. I'm not tied to y'all, but I have a lot of experience coaching and playing and waiting. So I have life experience that I can relate to you on. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot in athletics I haven't experienced. No. Injuries, being benched, being the guy, being a leader. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of commonality. There's the individualistic of each sport in terms of statistics, schematics, how it's played. But in terms of the coreness of athletics, it's all the same.
But again, what RSU offers is those kind of people that you want your kids in your program to be around. Because RSU's not a giant school where you don't see the same faces all the time. Yeah. But like, I look at the impact Dawn had on me and how hard she works behind the scenes. Like, I wouldn't have graduated if Dawn hadn't helped me with classes. Right. But she's going out of her way to help me with classes because I just go up there and see her. She don't have to do that. But she's the kind of person that you want. Guy gets injured and comes to see you. It's not like, oh no, what's good? It's like, go speak to Corey. Like, he's going to help you out. The way other coaches at RSU coach, I go and sit behind Barkley sometimes at basketball games, and I'm like, oh, I like that fire. I want some of that fire.
It's intense.
I watch Vaughn coach softball, and I'm like, the way she's so smart, like I can just see the way her brain's. I'm like, man, she's smart, and it's just like, there's not one person at RSU you think, I hope my player doesn't ask for advice off the wrong person. You can't. Right. There's no one you can ask advice. Heather's positivity, every time I see her, she makes me feel like, oh, what a good day this is going to be. Could I like Coach Brown, Granddad, the wise man.
The wise
Any
old
issues
owl.
you've got, speak to the wise man. Like
Yes.
it's just like I said, the family environment, the people that these guys get to be around, the people I get to be around because I'm back. It's just
it's a blessing.
It is. It really is. It's hard to explain until you've experienced it. I think
100%. And we highly encourage as many people to experience, and that's why we have this forum. Is so that people can hear it in every individual that I've talked to. And it's not. We're not here to blow smoke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to blow smoke.
I'm very convicted about lying, so I'm not lying.
Yeah, you are a very straightforward person. Right. You're not gonna sugarcoat it. That is not in your MO. That's not who you are. We're gonna give it to you straight. Yep. And we love it here. It's the reason why we came back. You know what I'm saying? You talk about leaving home. Leaving home for me was difficult.
Yep.
From Minnesota, and never in a million years I think I'd be getting my MBA. Like, what is going on right now?
I know. And
doing digital media. And last year was tough. It was hard. It was hard to be away from home. It's hard to be, alone and have to re-network and remake connections with people and find people that you resonate with and you find as family. What? Well, y'all got a hook on me now. I'm like, hold on, I got a year left. Like,
it's even a lot of our boys are international players, and when we're recruiting them, I make a point of trying to speak to their parents, because even the way RSU makes my mum feel back home, my mum, hardest worker, invested a lot, comes out here once a year. And when I left RSU, speaking to her, I could tell she was like, okay, like, she wasn't excited about it. She loves who Coach Larkin is and what he did for me. When the job at RSU popped back up, she screamed the house down. When I told her I was moving back, she screamed the house down. She comes out every year.
Wow.
She feels so warm here.
And she only comes once a year. She feels that.
And that's why talking to these parents, I'm like, when you come, you'll understand.
Yeah.
Because when my mum comes, I can drop her off in the nature reserve. She'll get lost in there for an hour and come out, and she's just having a great time.
That's amazing.
Everyone makes her feel welcome. So it's talking to these parents about, hey, your son is going to be looked after, and I can tell you that confidently because I've been looked after, and now I'm in the shoes with the guy that looked after me to then look after them. And when you come out, you'll see what we're talking about. It's just, it's a
beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing.
You touched on, we're so blessed to be able to bring in people from all over the world, and for us to be able to bring in your mom and make her feel like home, but for the kids, that's a tough thing to do, because you're blending so many different types of cultures and so many different types of people. As a coach, how do you merge these lines and be like, your culture is important, but our culture as a whole has to encompass that, but it has to be moving in the same direction. Yeah. So as a coach, how do you shape that?
It's a really good question. The locker room wins you games.
Oof.
The culture of the locker room wins the games. The locker room wins you games. So we have New Zealand, Australia, Belgium, England, Ireland, Wales, Spain, under this roof. Sweden, Portugal, under this roof. More countries than I can even think off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And you've got American guys that may be close to home, maybe Dallas. They're experiencing something new in Oklahoma. Small scale, you've got guys that some don't speak the language all that great. Big scale, but it's almost like under the roof. You've got our overriding team culture that affects everybody, but our locker room and how close they are as a group is what takes teams over the edge. And it's, again, something in our locker room that you can't look anywhere other than Coach Larkin, because it's been the same way in our locker room for year after year after year after
years.
Yeah, it's just
since the inception.
It's like they come from a different country, and there's always that phase where this is brand new. You got 2 weeks of wow, whirlwind. But like, for example, this year we're going to a team pool party sort of thing where you merge the cultures and you try and be as inclusive for everyone as you can under this overriding team culture.
Yeah.
The closer they get, the quicker they get.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got to look as well, how the guys that are now seniors that started as freshmen, how they feel about the program, they can then feed back into these new guys because they've been there.
Correct.
And it's like starts with Larkin and myself, and it goes through the seniors into the juniors, into the sophomores, into the freshmen, and then the freshmen are the ones that do it later on. And it's massive for us. We understand there's a lot of soccer teams that are elite soccer programs, like in our conference, OC, all these teams we play against. There's fine margins in some games, and most of the time that fine margin is which team is willing to fight harder for the other people on the field, whose locker room's stronger, who's willing to go the extra mile for their locker room, the closest guys.
Yeah.
And we're blessed with, like I say, the culture that we get to produce within our locker room. We've got 38 guys.
Yeah.
People just want to be a part of the program, and
That's amazing.
It's
a very large team for soccer.
It's an extremely large team for soccer, and like we say, the only reason we keep that number is because of how well the guys themselves get along.
Yeah.
Because there's 38 guys, 11 people start a game. And I'm not great at math, Corey, but that's 27. That's 27 guys that aren't in that starting group.
Yeah.
Now, for 27 guys to support the team the way they do when they can't be out there, and that's tough for athletes and tough for competitive athletes.
Tough.
You have to have a strong bond.
Yes, you do.
Well, the numbers don't lie. There's a strong bond there that means these guys that are supporting the team, whether they get 45 minutes or 1 minute, they will have the same love for the program as these guys because of the culture. So
yeah.
It's strong.
That's beyond powerful.
Yeah.
And I come from a sport where we have mass numbers.
Yeah.
I'm talking like 120 on the team.
The fake football. The fake football where you don't use your feet, right?
We do use our feet.
The fake football where you smash heads.
Ooh. Who leads in concussions though? Let's talk about that.
That's true.
Fake news for the people that don't know. Football does not lead in concussions. They do. Anyways, I'm sorry. But you're speaking beyond truth about the presence in a locker room, that it's one there, but it starts with the people up top, the head coaches, assistant coaches are preaching it down, but it comes down to your leaders to be like, what they're saying is law, is truth, is what we abide by. Yeah. And then it has to trickle all the way down to the bottom. And for it to be so consistent within these programs, all these years, all the success that this program has had, it's mind-boggling, and it's a true testament to y'all's greatness on and off the field. And I have to gotta give praise where praise is due. I do want to talk about, you talked about it real briefly earlier, your English coaches compared to your coaches here in the United States. Talk about what those cultural differences was like, and your first experience of coming here, and were you shocked? Were you like, oh, like that's it? Like, are we? What was that like?
Oh man, England. Soccer is the culture.
Yeah.
Soccer is, life. Like I said, I found a faith now.
Yeah.
In England, soccer's the faith. It is Saturday and Sunday. The games are on. We're watching. It's a part of the city's how well the city does. Often, how well their soccer team's doing. Tourism.
Are you serious? Dude, it's that instrumental to the social and the economics.
You ever seen Wrexham? You know who Wrexham are?
No.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, two actors from America. They bought Wrexham.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The tourism and the way that city has now gone from in a lot of trouble to one of the most popular tourist destinations in the UK.
Wow.
Purely because they put a series out of them saving this soccer team that meant so much to the community of Wrexham, that you cannot describe what soccer means in England. So one big difference is it's not the same here. No. There's a lot of other big sports that take a precedent. So for example,
the real football. Sorry.
I coach a lot of young girls as well in the Tulsa area, and getting them to watch soccer is like homework. Like, you need to watch this because it's going to help you grow as a player.
Mm-hmm.
In England, you don't have to tell anybody that. Their mum and dads have got it on. They're watching it. Like, it's a part of the culture. The second thing I'd say, myself, Coach Jordan from the women's program, coming up in England, we were both in quite high level systems. So they call it academy football. So you move away from home at 16.
Wow.
You play full time 16 to 18. It becomes a job, and it is a cutthroat job. Cussing is a regular. The coaching is hard. For you to get to where you need to be, you've got to have some thick skin.
Yeah.
And what I noticed as a player coming over here was I took a lot of that, and the way I spoke to people here does not resonate. When I get on someone's back who was a teammate when I was a player, who's not English, doesn't really know where I've come from, I feel like I'm trying to help them because that's how everyone's spoken to me growing up.
Right.
And for me, it's like, get some thick skin. What you
Yeah.
do? It's actually lowering their level of performance. And it was something I really struggled with as a player because, you know, when that competitive fire comes out,
bullets are flying.
And you can't control, and you've got to be better at controlling it. But sometimes that is a huge difference in England. The level of thick skin and competitive culture is just crazy.
Yeah.
Larkin is as close to an English coach that I've had. You've seen the fire I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can,
passionate.
He'll bring it out of you and stuff like that. But I just noticed playing sometimes, you can tell at some places we've played, it's on the back burner. It's like, oh, soccer's fun.
Yeah.
This is a cool sport.
Yeah.
But it's not life. Whereas where I'm from and where a lot of these players that we've got are from, this is life. Like, this is, it means a lot more. So that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really intriguing that you say that, because that culture is what football is like.
Yeah.
American football
Yeah.
is like. Especially like the traditional coaches is very cutthroat, tough skin.
Right.
No time for sensitivity.
That's right.
And it's from a player's perspective and from a person that is on the more sensitive side. I have thick skin. Like, there are times where I will be like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll brush it off. But there are times where I'm gonna be like, who are you talking to?
Right.
You know,
Right.
just because there are times you have to, as a leader and a person that, you know, who tries to embody as much leadership as possible, you got to know when to do it and when not to. And it's hard because sometimes when the bullets are flying and you're in the moment and you fly off the handle, it happens. But what a great leader does is be able to circle back,
right,
and be like, hey, look, that one was on me. Humility. And being able to be like, I got to be better. I got to be better in that moment.
Yeah.
And I applaud you because, and it really speaks to your growth, is that you realize that's how you were when you got here. Yeah. I'm sure when you were here, you're like, I mean, this is what I do.
I feel like I'm doing something good for the team.
Correct.
I'm trying to pump you guys up. Like, you need to care as much as I do.
Right.
But again, that leads into helping me as a coach. Because the reason a lot of guys come from international when they're here is they're lacking something that could make them a professional where they're from.
Correct.
So where I was lacking was, like you said, I'm more on the sensitive side. So even though I'd pretend, hey, yeah, you were a good coach, inside my confidence was going bad to the point where I would like put myself in situations where I couldn't make mistakes. Which is great because now I'm not feeling bad, but at the same time I'm not putting myself
in position
to do anything good.
Correct.
Like, I'm just there. I'm just So now, when I look at players as a coach, and I think that's what makes the best coaches different, man management, I might have...
Did you say man management?
Man management.
Ooh.
So it's like, in a locker room with 38 guys, you're going to have a number of different personality types. So we've had guys that literally need you to scream at them, and they wake up, and they genuinely, like, I used to say I could handle it, but I couldn't. They don't just handle it, they need it.
Yeah.
Like, they need that fire.
It turns them up.
There's also that guy in the exact same team, playing in the exact same game in the same moment. If I light him up, I've lost him for the game. Done. But if I go and put my arm around him and I go, you're doing really good, stay focused on this and this, you are going to win this game, that's what gets him going. So some managers, where I think they lack, some coaches, is I'm going to treat everybody the same, this is me. And you can still be successful, but I don't think you can get the most out of your program. Whereas the best ones, a Larkin, a Mitch, they go, he's going to need this in this situation, he's going to need this, and I'm going to address this in this situation. And I only know that from going through that as a player, then seeing how it affected other players when I was a player, that can now impact my coaching to look for that. So
that's such a beautiful thing. I as a player, as a former player, I'm so appreciative when coaches are able to see that, because it's hard. It's really hard,
and it's tough to see because some people hide it.
That's what we did,
right?
Because we were told, don't be sensitive, don't conform to what we got going on. And for the most part, if an athlete is here and they want to be here, they're going to be resilient. They're going to try to do it your way. But regardless, at their core, they may not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
And that's where you need to have an environment, like we spoke about, culture, where a kid is not afraid
to speak up,
to come and speak to us and go, Coach, this really upset me. Because if they're confident enough to do that, that just shows how good you've done as a coach to have an open door. There's coaches I had growing up, if I go and I think to myself, if I go tell him that upset me, he's not going to play me because he's going to think I'm weak.
Correct.
So I'm going to keep this and I'm going to act like it doesn't. It's different here.
Yeah.
Like they're brave enough to come and speak to us and tell us what's going on off the field as well.
Yeah.
Stuff going on at home, there's stuff going on here and there, to where we can then adapt how we're going to coach them. And again, it's just so important. Them tiny little details are the difference between 5-win seasons and 15-win seasons. Like getting everybody on the same page. And
it's about relationships and building these relationships and being able to communicate with them on a man-to-man basis. Man management might have to be coined,
right? Because
like that, it's literally man, woman, whatever, whoever you're coaching. You're not just managing a player, you're managing a person, an individual with a soul. But I want to transition, twist it up just a little bit, talk about some of your, some of these accolades, because not only were you just a player here, arguably one of the better players that ever come through RSU men's soccer history, multiple records, points, goals, All-American, all these accolades, they fade into time because that's not all we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a husband now, you're a father, and like your kid, at some point will figure it out, one day, but they don't know that. And some of these kids may not know that until, they start looking, Jake, hold on, Jake.
Right.
Hold on. Hey, Coach is kind of cold. He's kind of cold with it. Hold on. Talk about what it took to get there, to get to that level, and how do you translate that into coaching to tell a kid, you're not working hard enough if this is where you want to go. Because that's a part of it. Yeah. We have these meetings, we have these player coaches meetings, and we're like, hey, where you want to be? Oh, I want to be All-American, I want to be All-Conference, this, that, and the other. And we're like,
okay.
Based on what I've been seeing, we ain't gonna reach that. So how do you talk about that process of being able to communicate that, but also talk about the work it took to get to that point?
Yeah, so my journey was one that, again, the beautiful thing about, I think, faith and what you walk through is at the time it can seem like a trial, and you're like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
But then when you look back on it, when you're on this other side of it, you're like, oh, I needed that so much. I wouldn't change this, because without this I don't get to here. So like I said, I was in England. I had signed to play at the highest level from 16 to 18. So at that point I'm like, I'm going to be a pro in England. That's it. Everyone taught at school, that was it. Like, I'm done. At 18 you get told in a brutal meeting, we're not going to renew your contract. You're done, thank you. Because that's the pro sport world.
Yes.
You're a commodity. Like, you're either going to help us or you're not, and if you're not, you're out.
Yeah.
So then I'm left with very low confidence, as we spoke about, because not only is the coaching been wearing away at me a little bit and I haven't been saying anything to anyone, I'm now released. So I'm stuck in like, okay, what do I do now? The reason I end up in America is I want to be as far away from this experience as I can. So I'm like, America sounds great, education on the side as well in case I get an injury. End up in Georgia, and I'm like, oh, they're actually quite good. With all due respect, like, I'm thinking I'm going to walk out here and
be the guy,
walk past everybody, and now I'm like, oh, there's a guy called Paco Craig who's now a professional. There's a guy called Lewis Hilton who's now a professional. There's these guys who I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to just walk through this. Like, I'm out here to try and get some confidence back, and this is hard work.
Yeah.
And I'm 18 playing against 24-year-olds, 23-year-olds, and I'm like, oh, this is men stuff.
Men.
So another experience where very humbled, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. And like I said, it wasn't a family feel. So I'm on my way home, and then I get the call from Scott. I come to RSU, things change, I start to get confidence back. But as you, I'm sure, know, I think I'm working as hard as I possibly can until I work as hard as I possibly can. So it took me until my senior year. I had a medical red shirt, I broke my hand. And during that rehab, I read a book by a guy called David Goggins, who's an ex-Navy SEAL. And he starts talking about doing things that other people don't do and being different and training different. So as I'm rehabbing that injury, I almost have like it's time to switch this up. Like, you're going to be done in 1 year. Like, what do you want to be remembered for? And I'm reading this book and I'm like, okay, I need to switch this up a little bit. And I scored goals, but not at the level I wanted to. We were good, but not at the level I wanted to be good. Like, and I think it wasn't just me, it was that whole team that year that almost had an epiphany of like, this is it, like, we've got to go.
Yeah.
So 2019 season happens. I'm the fittest version I've ever been. Like, and in this book it talks about doing things other people aren't willing to do. So you're training, but like in my junior year, my training on the soccer field, I'm doing a lot of work. So how can I work any harder? I don't want to get injured. Like, I'm doing loads of work here. Well, now I'm running 4 or 5 miles before a practice, getting down to practicing, going to the weight room, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. This is working hard, because now I've seen it. This is working hard. But there's a bunch of other guys that are doing the same thing that weren't doing the same thing. So now we've got a team led by Larkin, who are just on a different sort of level mentally and physically. Yeah. And things just start to click. So now I'm scoring a lot more goals. There's people like Jordan who are just blowing people away. Like, and to be an All-American, you have to have it. I don't just run and score. I'm not that player. Like, I could finish. But Jordan, Chris Soudan, Noah Robson, Jackson Pitt, Callum Hubble, Mike Turner, Jaime Ponce, Seb, Manny, all these people behind me are doing all kinds of work to get me in a situation where I can be successful. So any accolade as an individual comes from a team. So it wasn't just me that switched it up. I was the best possible version of myself. I left nothing on the table where I can be like, man, I should have done a little bit more. Yeah. But neither did anybody else. So then Now when I look at it as a coach and we're in these meetings like you're talking about, and there's this kid and he's like, Coach, I think I need more playing time. Okay, what are you doing outside of practice? Well, I lift 2 or 3 times a week, and every now and again, like, okay, well, here's what I was doing as an All-American. Here's what Jordan was doing that season. Here's what Noah was doing that season. That's not enough. Yeah. And I can tell you that from my experience, that's not enough. And one super powerful quote that I absolutely love, you are what you walk through. So I heard that and I was like, what does that mean? You are what you walk through in terms of doors. It's basically referencing doors. If I walk through the door of that weight room 6 times a week, yeah, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be strong. If I walk through the door of the locker room once a week, I'm doing training. If I walk through that door 4 times a day, I am a unbelievable level. Like I could not get to a higher level. Yeah. If I walk through the doors of my church, I feel like I'm growing stronger in the faith. If I walk through the doors of my home, I feel like I'm giving back to my family. You are what you walk through. Yeah. So my question is, what do you walk through and how many times? You walk through it once, you're average. You walk through it twice, you're doing something. You walk through the door of the gym 6 times a week and through the door of the locker room twice a day. Well, now you're on an All-American level where you're trying to... But again, those accolades, every goal has an assist. Every All-American has a team of people behind him. That I don't get All-American if we don't win games. Yeah. And I don't win games by myself, and I don't score goals by myself. So I was someone that got a really good accolade, but purely based off of an incredibly strong team that season. Yeah. That all turned it up another level. So again, when you're as a coach looking at it and you're like, I was where you were because you think you're working hard. Let me tell you, when you get to this level of working hard, you're going to look back and go, I wasn't doing anything. But it's that journey guiding it. Because I didn't get there till I was a senior. And like we said, when you come through the door as a freshman and you leave as a senior, 2 totally different human beings. Correct. Through the process of being at RSU. And now I'm at a point now in life where you've got a kid. Like, I thought I was working hard as a senior playing soccer. Have a baby. Right. Have a baby. Do work, have a baby. Like now, but that sets you in a good stead for this kind of mindset. Like, I can do this because I work hard for it. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful... I don't think you can say it any better. Like, if young athletes, people who are going through life, regardless, like he just gave free game. Like free game. Free knowledge.
If you want to bet me, you can.
Yeah, hit him up. To give out further free game for young soccer players looking to play at the collegiate level, looking to play here at RSU, tell them from your perspective, what does it take to be a collegiate athlete? What characteristics are you looking for in these young men who are going to be faces in important people in your program?
A lot of people think that soccer's the be all and end all, and that's what we're going to recruit them on. And do you have to be an elite soccer player? Absolutely. Do you have to be athletically a certain way, IQ of the game, technical understanding a certain way, tactical understanding a certain way? Absolutely. That's a huge component. But like I said, Larkin's phrase, take care of your business. How do you handle your business? You're a student athlete. Yeah. So are we going to bring you in for you to be a good soccer player, but we have to babysit you every 5 minutes about going to class? How you handle one thing is how you handle everything, in my opinion.
Ooh, so, heard that one before.
If I'm
heard that one before.
Yeah, if I'm chasing you up about going to class, how can I expect you to give me everything on the soccer field? The best players I've coached, the best players I see, like I said, that senior year for me, I didn't want to just outwork everyone out here. Yeah. I was an academic All-American. Go and tell my mum I'm going to be an academic All-American. When I came to America, I'm like, I've been out of school 2 years. It all translates. I'm going to outwork in the classroom. I don't want to get a B. that means I'm subpar. I'm
Yeah.
going to get an A. I want to be the best one in the class. I want to be the best one in the weight room. I want to be the most respectful person in the hotel. I want to be the most respectful person to the people in the cafe. I want them to like me. I want all the admin staff to like me. If I'm going to do a job for Chris Ratcliffe, our boys sometimes work in there. I want the AD to think I'm a good person. This is all one big picture. So when I'm recruiting you and I'm like, how's your grades? Well, I got a 2.2, but I'm a phenomenal soccer player. Great. I'm not going to babysit you. Like, you do this really good for your level, but if you don't do this really good as well, will we bring you in to try and get you there? Because like I said, when I first started, I was not there. Absolutely. But we're going to babysit you for 4 years.
Right.
Eventually, they're going to, if they don't take care of this, they're not eligible anyway. It falls
apart.
Right.
It falls apart.
It's a whole collective of things we look at. Attitude is massive. Effort is massive. How you treat people that can't do anything for you is massive.
Yes. Treat those, take care of those, take care of you.
Right. It's just a whole list of things that we look at outside of just being, I'm a great soccer player.
Yeah.
But obviously, we do like them if they're good at soccer.
Yeah, we do like it if you can put it in the goal.
That does help.
Or stop it from going in.
Right.
I do want to add on to that, coachability.
Massive.
And for those who struggle in the classroom, he struggled, I struggled. I'm not a fabulous student. I like the fact like people are like, oh, you're in grad school, like you're smart, like nah, dog.
I'm in grad school.
Dog. I don't look. But the glory of God, I've been in grad school.
Yep.
I've never been a phenomenal student, but I will work my butt off to make sure that I do all the other pieces correctly as much as possible. Like this whole digital media thing, brand new, never. But I want to be the best.
Yeah.
If I'm here, if this is where my feet are, we gonna be the best.
Right.
So that's what we're asking from y'all.
Yeah.
Is that this is where we allow you to put, because we gotta allow you.
Yeah.
You gotta earn that right to put your feet on that Hellcat.
Yeah.
We don't give this out for free.
It's so frustrating. I can't tell you. As a player, I used to walk into the locker room and see how things are laid out.
Yeah.
I just think it just got there like that.
We didn't.
The bus pulls up for a game, all the food's sorted. Oh, cool. How did that happen? By magic. I'm never giving anyone the... So now as a coach, when I see it...
You get a different perspective. Different
love
love for
it.
it.
It makes me so upset.
Yeah.
It's like... This school doesn't owe you anything.
No.
You owe this school everything. And the second you forget that and you think that your name is bigger than the school's name...
Yeah.
It's a one-way ticket to...
Out of here.
Because it's just like...
The transport was yours, buddy.
You have to be able to buy it. And like you said, coachability. There's some amazing soccer players that come here, but all soccer coaches, like I said, have a different style.
Yes.
How well can you adapt to our style? How well can you buy into what the program's, the direction we're going in and stuff like that? Just great points, and there's so much that goes into being a college soccer player that
100%.
people
overlook.
You get 2 hours on the field a day. What are you doing for the other 22?
Correct.
That is going to make you great.
And you have to, and you got to invest in all of it. College football, the NCAA football game, they ain't lying. The grades, the weight room, like all that matters. It adds up. If you are not getting after it, you're missing out.
Yep.
As we're wrapping up, I've always been curious because I've seen coaches change when they have a child. Because they seem to be, because they're so invested in the game and like all they know. But as soon as they have a child, like it's like this light bulb switches. Can you talk about how you evolved after your daughter was born as a coach, or if you disagree?
It's hard to put into words what a kid will do to your heart. All your parents will talk about unconditional love. It's like nothing. It's thinking about her and stuff like that. She's just the most beautiful thing in the world. But when you look at it, if you have a tough game, and I think all coaches are guilty of it, you get in that locker room, and this is life. From August to December, this is everything. There's every ounce of energy we have goes into trying to be a program we want to be, trying to be successful, trying to do the best for our boys. When you walk through that door after a tough, hot 1-0 loss, and she comes running over, Daddy, it puts everything into perspective of soccer's important and what we're doing is important, but there's so many bigger things.
Yeah.
And again, the faith I found at Oklahoma Christian is another one of those things that kind of grounds me, like, this is important and I care about it with my whole entire heart.
Yeah.
But when you have a child and when you find that kind of faith, it's like there's a much bigger picture, and I think it makes you a better coach, because I think some coaches will take it over the edge and it will ruin them.
Mm.
But when you've got that kind of grounding, that firm grounding, it's incredible. And when you want to talk about maturity, you got to take care of a different life now.
Yeah.
I can understand where parents are coming from now. Some parents are sending their child from England to come here. If my daughter left the house, I'd be having a meltdown, let alone getting on a plane and leaving the country. It puts so many different things into perspective. There's a lot of things that really, really matter in the world, and soccer's a massive one in my mind.
Yeah.
But there's bigger things, and it gets you through the tougher moments of being a coach that you didn't have when you didn't have a child. So
yeah.
It's the best thing in the world by some distance.
I don't think it could be said any better. And I don't even have any children, but it's a dream of mine. I have siblings,
yeah,
and I know how much they mean to me. My sister's literally moving to Virginia right now, and it makes me sick to my stomach that I can't be there to watch her move in, to watch her make this next step. And I was blessed to be there for her graduation, but like that unconditional love, like the passion for family oversees everything. And I think, for us, like young men who grew up competing, and that's all we knew for the majority of our life, and how we knew how much this would impact our life if we do this well, and then we have an opportunity to see life in a bigger picture, that like this is such a small, minuscule part of it. In the grand scheme of things. The wins and losses are such a small, minuscule thing of it, because there's so many bigger pieces that make it up. I don't think there's a better way to, one, like in this episode, but to put in perspective for people that like we're so blessed to be able to have a sport as a living.
Yep.
That's what we do for a living, is to go out there and play. I get a chance to talk and highlight your guys' successes, because your success is mine. I love that energy. So I appreciate that greatly. And as we're wrapping up for another edition of Voices on the Hill, I'm your host for a fabulous guest, RSU new assistant coach for men's soccer, Jake Simpson. We appreciate you and your time, and we appreciate you guys for watching. So until next time, for RSU.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Oh. Yeah.
Standing out there for an hour.
Now
We have a meeting. What are we doing? Why are you?
Corey's trying to make me cry, bringing my daughter into things.
Why would that make you cry?
bro, I'm out here pulling out all the emotions.